A blueprint is what a builder uses to construct a house. It is the design that tells you where the walls should stand, where the foundation should lie, where the doors will open. Without the blueprint, a house becomes unstable, unreliable, and out of order. Your soul is the original design for your life. It holds the foundation of who you are and what you are meant to become. And yet, many of us have ignored this design, abandoned the architect's plan, and tried to build our lives according to someone else's idea or we should be. You were born with the truth already imprinted on you. You didn't have to be taught your value. You didn't have to be convinced of your worth. Watch a child and you'll see what I mean. A child has no doubt that they are important. They do not question whether they deserve love or attention. They do not shrink themselves to please others. Why? Because they are still connected to the voice of their soul. The original blueprint has not yet been overshadowed by the opinions of the world. But as we grow, something happens. The voices of others become louder than the voice within. The opinions of people begin to matter more than the truth written on our hearts. You start to hear things like, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not talented enough, and slowly you begin to build a life based on those lies. You adjust your dreams to fit other people's expectations. You silence your desires to gain their approval. You bury your true self beneath layers of fear, doubt, and insecurity. And the more you ignore the voice of your soul, the further you drift from your purpose. But let me tell you something, no matter how far you go, the blueprint doesn't change. It doesn't get rewritten because of your mistakes. It doesn't get altered because of your failures. It remains exactly as it was designed, waiting for you to return to it. That's why you feel restless. That's why you feel unfulfilled even when you have everything the world says you should want. It's because deep down, your soul is calling you back to the truth. It's reminding you of who you really are and what you were created to do. That's why some of the most successful people in the world still feel empty. They climbed the ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. They spent years building a life that looked good on the outside but felt hollow on the inside. You see, success is not measured by what you gain, but by whether you fulfill your purpose. And your soul already knows what that purpose is. When you listen to your soul, you will realize that everything you need to fulfill your purpose is already within you. You don't need to look outside for validation. You don't need someone else to tell you what you're capable of. You are equipped with everything you need the moment you were born. Your gifts, your talents, your dreams, they were all placed within you for a reason. They are not random. They are clues that point you toward your purpose. Stop comparing your blueprint to someone else's. Your design is unique to you. You cannot build your life using someone else's plan. What works for them may not work for you because their purpose is not your purpose. Comparison is the enemy of clarity. It clouds your vision and distracts you from your path. When you measure yourself against others, you lose sight of the greatness that is already within you. The voice of your soul is gentle, but it is persistent. It will not shout over the noise, but it will never stop speaking. It will whisper to you in moments of quiet. It will remind you of your dreams when you're alone. It will pull at your heart when you're headed in the wrong direction. The question is, will you listen? There is a version of you that the world has never seen, a version that is bold, confident, and unafraid. That version of you is waiting on the other side of fear. It's waiting for you to stop listening to the lies and start believing the truth. The truth is, you were created for something extraordinary. You were not put here to simply exist, to pay bills, and to die. You were put here to fulfill a purpose that only you can fulfill. When you align with the voice of your soul, everything changes. You begin to walk with confidence because you know you are on the right path. You begin to dream bigger because you realize that nothing is impossible when you are in alignment with your purpose. You begin to let go of the need for approval because you understand that the only validation you need comes from within. The voice of your soul will always lead you to truth. It will lead you to peace. It will lead you to fulfillment. But you must be willing to listen. You must be willing to trust the blueprint. You must be willing to silence the noise and follow the path that was designed for you before the foundation of the world. No one else can do this for you. No one else can live your purpose. It is your responsibility to discover it, to embrace it, and to fulfill it. Your soul holds the blueprint. It holds the truth. It holds the map that will guide you to the life you were created to live. In a world that is constantly moving, constantly speaking, and constantly demanding your attention, the greatest battle you will ever fight is for your ability to hear. I'm not talking about hearing the noise of life, the chatter, the opinions, the distractions that surround you. I'm talking about hearing the voice within you, the voice of your soul. That voice is the compass that was placed inside you before you ever took your first breath. It is your guide, your source of clarity, and your connection to the truth about who you are. But that voice is soft. It does not shout. It does not compete, and it does not force itself to be heard. It waits. It waits for you to silence the noise around you so you can recognize its whisper. And yet, for so many of us, that whisper is drowned out by the world. The noise of this life has become so loud, so overwhelming, that we have forgotten how to listen. The noise comes in many forms. It is the opinions of people who tell you who you should be and what you should do. It is the constant stream of information that bombards you from every direction: social media, news, entertainment. It is the voice of fear that tells you you're not good enough, the voice of doubt that says you'll never make it, and the voice of distraction that keeps you busy but never productive. The noise is not just external, it is also internal. It is the clutter of thoughts in your mind, the weight of worry in your heart, and the endless list of tasks that demand your attention. The more noise you allow into your life, the harder it becomes to hear the voice of your soul. And when you cannot hear that voice, you lose your way. You begin to drift through life, reacting to whatever comes your way instead of moving with purpose and intention. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you sat in silence? When was the last time you turned off the distraction, stepped away from the noise, and simply listened? You see, silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of clarity. It is in the stillness that you can hear what your soul has been trying to tell you all along. It is in the quiet moments that you can reconnect with the truth about yourself. The world does not want you to be still. It does not want you to be quiet. It wants to keep you distracted, busy, and overwhelmed, because a distracted mind is easy to control. When you are constantly listening to the noise, you become dependent on it. You begin to look to the world for answers that can only be found within you. You let the opinions of others define your value. You let the expectations of society dictate your choices. You let the chaos around you drown out the truth that is already inside you. But here's the reality: no one else can tell you who you are. No one else can show you your purpose. No one else can give you the clarity that comes from the voice of your soul. That voice is your direct connection to your destiny, and it is always speaking. The problem is not that the voice has stopped. The problem is that you've allowed too much noise to get in the way. Think about it this way: if you were trying to tune into a radio station, but there was static on the line, you would adjust the dial until you found the clear signal. You wouldn't blame the station for not broadcasting. You would simply recognize that the interference was preventing you from hearing the message. The voice of your soul is like that radio signal. It is always there, always broadcasting, always speaking truth. But the noise of life creates interference. And unless you take the time to adjust, you will miss the message. The noise of life will tell you to chase success, but the voice of your soul will tell you to pursue purpose. The noise will tell you to fit in, but the voice of your soul will tell you to stand out. The noise will keep you focused on what you don't have, but the voice of your soul will remind you of what you do have. The noise will make you believe you are not enough, but the voice of your soul will tell you that you were created complete. To hear the voice of your soul, you must be intentional. You must create space for stillness. You must learn to disconnect from the noise so you can reconnect with yourself. That means stepping away from the distractions that fill your days. It means setting boundaries with the people who drain your energy. It means learning to say no to the things that pull you away from your purpose. Silence is uncomfortable for many people because they are afraid of what they might hear. They are afraid that if they get quiet, they will have to confront the truth about themselves. They will have to face the dreams they've buried, the mistakes they've made, and the fears they've ignored. But let me tell you something, the truth will set you free. The voice of your soul is not there to condemn you, it is there to guide you. It will not remind you of your failures, it will show you the path to your future. When you begin to prioritize stillness, you will notice a shift in your life. Clarity will replace confusion. Peace will replace anxiety. Purpose will replace aimlessness. The voice of your soul will become louder, not because it has changed, but because you have finally learned to listen. You will begin to make decisions that align with who you truly are. You will stop living for the approval of others and start living in alignment with your calling. Life will always be noisy. There will always be demands on your time, opinions about your choices, and distractions that fight for your attention. But you have a choice. You can let the noise control you, or you can choose to control the noise. You can allow the world to dictate your path, or you can choose to listen to the voice that already knows the way. The voice of your soul is waiting for you. It is not hiding. It is not silent. It is speaking, even now. All you have to do is get quiet enough to hear it. And when you hear it, trust it. Because that voice is the sound of your destiny calling you home. There is one voice in this world that will never deceive you, never manipulate you, and never lead you astray. It is the voice of your soul. That voice deep within you speaks truth, raw, unfiltered, and unshakable truth. It does not change to fit circumstances. It does not bend under pressure, and it cannot be silenced by the lies of this world. Your soul cannot lie to you because it is the part of you that is eternally connected to truth itself. It is the compass that points you to the life you were created to live. But many of us have stopped listening to that voice. We have allowed ourselves to become more comfortable with lies than with truth. We lie to ourselves when we say, I'm fine, even when we know we are not. We lie to ourselves when we pretend to be someone we're not just to gain acceptance. We lie to ourselves when we stay in situations that we know are draining the life out of us. But no matter how hard you try to silence it, your soul will always speak the truth. Have you ever had that feeling deep inside that something was wrong, even when everything looked right on the outside? You couldn't explain it. You couldn't put it into words, but something inside you just wouldn't settle. That is your soul. It cannot lie to you. It will tell you when you are in the wrong place, when you are with the wrong people, or when you are living a life that does not align with your purpose. And here's the thing, you can ignore it, but you cannot escape it. You can cover it up with distractions, with busyness, or with denial, but the truth will always resurface. Your soul will not allow you to live a lie. It will keep pulling at you, tugging at your heart, and reminding you of the truth until you face it. It will convict you when you settle for less than you deserve. It will challenge you when you shrink yourself to make others comfortable. It will correct you when you wander off the path that was designed for you. That's why so many people feel restless. That's why so many people feel empty. Even when they have everything the world says they should want, they are living lives that are out of alignment with their souls. They are pursuing goals that do not belong to them. They are wearing masks that hide who they truly are. But no matter how much you achieve, no matter how much you pretend, you will never feel at peace until you listen to the truth within you. You see, your soul is not interested in comfort, it is interested in growth. It will not allow you to stay where you do not belong. It will push you out of toxic relationships. It will nudge you to leave jobs that no longer serve your purpose. It will pull you away from environments that stifle your potential. It does not care about what people think or what society expects. It cares only about the truth. And that truth will set you free, but first it may make you uncomfortable. When you listen to your soul, it will demand honesty. It will ask you to confront the lies you've been telling yourself. It will challenge you to stop blaming others for where you are and take responsibility for where you're going. It will call you to examine your choices, your habits, and your priorities. And that process is not easy. It is not comfortable. But it is necessary. You were not created to live in deception. You were not created to hide, to shrink, or to settle. You were created to live in alignment with truth. And that truth is already within you. Your soul knows what you are capable of. It knows the gifts you've been given. It knows the dreams that have been planted in your heart. It knows the life you were designed to live. And it will never stop reminding you of that truth. When you ignore the voice of your soul, you invite conflict into your life. You begin to feel divided, torn between who you are and who you are pretending to be. That division creates frustration, anxiety, and confusion. It is like trying to walk in two directions at once. You cannot move forward because you are stuck. But when you listen to your soul, you experience alignment. You begin to walk with purpose. You begin to live with clarity. You begin to feel a sense of peace that cannot be shaken by circumstances. The voice of your soul is not loud. It does not shout over the noise of life. It is a whisper, a gentle nudge, a quiet knowing. And if you want to hear it, you must learn to listen. You must learn to create space for stillness. You must learn to silence the distractions that keep you from yourself. Because the truth is, you already know what you need to do. You already know who you were created to be. You already know the steps you need to take. The question is, are you willing to listen? There is nothing more powerful than a person who is aligned with the truth of their soul. That person cannot be shaken because they are standing on a foundation that cannot be moved. That person cannot be manipulated because they know who they are and what they stand for. That person cannot be stopped because they are walking in their purpose. When you live in alignment with your soul, you stop looking for validation from the outside. You no longer need people to approve of your choices because you are confident in the path you are walking. You no longer need things to define your worth because you know that your value comes from within. You no longer chase after what the world says is success because you understand that true success is fulfilling your purpose. The truth within you is your greatest asset. It is your guide. It is your protector. It is your source of strength. And it will never lie to you. But you must be willing to trust it. You must be willing to act on it, even when it doesn't make sense to others. You must be willing to follow it, even when the path is unclear. Because the voice of your soul will always lead you to where you are meant to be. Most people avoid silence because they do not understand its purpose. Silence feels uncomfortable. It feels unnatural in a world that thrives on distraction and busyness. But silence is not emptiness. Silence is full of answers. It is the space where clarity is born, where truth rises to the surface, and where your soul speaks in a language only you can understand. The voice of your soul is your guide. It is the compass that points you toward your destiny. It is the source of your intuition, your creativity, and your clarity. But it cannot be heard in the noise. You cannot hear it when you are constantly distracted, constantly running, and constantly busy. You cannot hear it when you fill every quiet moment with something to do, someone to talk to, or something to watch. You must make space for silence. You must learn to be still. But here's the truth: silence requires courage. It takes courage to sit with yourself, to turn off the distractions, and to face what the voice of your soul has to say. For some, silence is frightening because it reveals what they've been avoiding. It reveals the dreams they've buried, the pain they've ignored, and the truth they've denied. But until you are willing to face that truth, you will remain stuck. You will continue to live a life that feels empty, a life that looks successful on the outside but lacks meaning on the inside. The voice of your soul is not concerned with appearances. It does not care about how things look to other people. It is concerned with truth. It will always tell you the truth about who you are, and where you need to go. That truth may challenge you. It may convict you. It may ask you to change. But it will also free you. In silence, you begin to see yourself clearly. You begin to recognize the thoughts that are not serving you, the habits that are holding you back, and the relationships that are draining your energy. You begin to separate the noise of the world from the truth within you. You begin to realize that you do not need the approval of others to live a meaningful life. You do not need to chase after what everyone else is chasing. You need only to listen to the voice within you and trust what it is saying. The reason so many people feel lost, confused, and restless is because they have neglected the voice of their soul. They have filled their lives with noise that promises happiness but delivers emptiness. They are busy, but they are not fulfilled. They are connected to the world, but they are disconnected from themselves. But when you create moments of silence, when you allow yourself to be still, the confusion begins to clear. The restlessness begins to fade. The answers begin to come. The world will not encourage you to be silent. It will keep pulling at you, demanding your attention and distracting you from yourself. That is why you must be intentional. You must fight for silence. You must guard it like the treasure it is. Because in that silence, you will find what you've been searching for. In that silence, the voice of your soul will remind you of who you are, what you are capable of, and where you are going. There is nothing more powerful than a person who has heard the truth within themselves. That person cannot be swayed by the opinions of others. They cannot be manipulated by the noise of the world. They cannot be stopped by fear or doubt because they have clarity. They know who they are. They know where they are going. They know what they are here to do. That clarity comes in silence. That strength comes from listening to the voice within you. And when you hear that voice, when you trust that voice, you will begin to live a life that is true, a life that is meaningful, and a life that fulfills the purpose for which you were created. So make time for silence. Seek it, protect it, value it. Because in the silence, the voice of your soul will speak. And when it does, it will change everything. Every person on this earth is born with an internal compass, a guide, a voice that was designed to lead them toward purpose, peace, and fulfillment. That voice does not come from the outside, it comes from within. It is the voice of your soul. It speaks softly, yet with authority. It whispers truth, yet it is never forceful. It will never deceive you, mislead you, or compromise your destiny. But when you choose to ignore it, when you turn a deaf ear to its warnings, you open the door to confusion, chaos, and destruction. There is nothing more dangerous than living in opposition to your own soul. When you ignore the voice within you, you are not only walking away from the truth, you are walking towards self-destruction. You begin to make decisions that violate your values, choices that betray your own identity, and compromises that rob you of your peace. You start to drift, pulled by the noise of the world, chasing after things that were never meant for you. You trade purpose for distraction, truth for convenience, and peace for temporary satisfaction. But no matter how far you run, no matter how much you pretend, your soul will not stop speaking. Have you ever felt that deep unrest? That quiet unease that lingers even when everything seems fine on the surface? You try to shake it off, you try to cover it up, but it's still there. That is the voice of your soul. It's telling you that something is off. It's telling you that you are out of alignment. It's warning you that the path you're walking is leading you somewhere you don't want to go. Ignoring that voice doesn't make the truth disappear. It only makes the consequences more painful. When you silence your soul's warnings, you silence the very thing that was meant to protect you. You silence the wisdom that could save you from unnecessary pain. You silence the guidance that could keep you from falling into traps you don't see coming. The soul doesn't shout, it doesn't argue, and it doesn't force itself upon you. But it also doesn't lie. If you refuse to listen, it won't fight you. It will let you learn the hard way. You see, ignoring the voice of your soul is like ignoring a warning sign on the road. The sign is not there to stop you from moving forward. It's there to keep you safe. It's there to alert you to the danger ahead so you can adjust your path. But when you dismiss it, when you keep going despite the warning, you are inviting destruction. The same is true for your life. The voice of your soul will warn you about relationships that are draining you, environments that are stifling you, and habits that are destroying you. It will tell you when to stop, when to let go, and when to change. But when you refuse to listen, you suffer the consequences of your own choices. People who ignore their soul's voice often wonder why they feel lost, broken, and empty. They wonder why nothing seems to satisfy them, why their lives feel meaningless despite their achievements. It's because they have abandoned the truth. They have traded authenticity for acceptance. They have buried their purpose under the weight of other people's expectations. They have chosen to silence the voice within them in order to fit into a life that was never meant for them. But no matter how far you run, your soul will always remind you of the truth. You can have success and still feel empty. You can have relationships and still feel alone. You can have everything the world says you need and still feel like something is missing. That is what happens when you live out of alignment with your soul. Your soul was not created to chase after what is shallow, temporary, and meaningless. It was created for something greater. It was created to fulfill a purpose that is uniquely yours. And the longer you ignore that purpose, the more restless you will feel. Some people keep themselves busy so they don't have to face it. They fill their lives with distractions, work, entertainment, relationships, noise, anything to drown out the voice that keeps speaking to them. But busyness cannot replace purpose. Distraction cannot silence truth. You can run from it, but you cannot escape it. The voice of your soul will always call you back to what is real, what is meaningful, and what is true. There are consequences to ignoring that voice. When you refuse to listen to your soul, you begin to live a life that is not yours. You start walking down paths that were never meant for you. You build relationships that drain you instead of strengthen you. You accept jobs that leave you unfulfilled. You adopt habits that slowly destroy you. You settle for less than you were created for, and you convince yourself that it's enough. But deep down, you know it isn't. The truth is, self-destruction does not happen overnight. It is a slow process. It begins with small compromises, little lies you tell yourself to justify ignoring the truth. You say, it's not that bad. You say, I'll deal with it later. You say, I don't have a choice. And with each lie, you drift further and further away from yourself. Before you know it, you're lost. You're disconnected from your own soul. You're living a life that doesn't belong to you. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to find your way back. But here's the good news. It's never too late to listen. It's never too late to stop, to be still, and to hear what your soul has been trying to tell you. The voice of your soul does not give up on you. It does not abandon you, even when you've ignored it for years. It will always speak truth to you. It will always call you back to your purpose. It will always guide you toward the life you were created to live. But you must be willing to listen. You must be willing to face the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. The voice of your soul will challenge you. It will ask you to let go of what is familiar and step into the unknown. It will ask you to leave behind relationships, habits, and environments that are keeping you stuck. It will ask you to confront the lies you've been living and embrace the truth of who you are. That process is not easy, but it is necessary, because ignoring the truth will only lead to more pain. The moment you start listening to your soul, you will begin to feel a shift. The restlessness will start to fade. The confusion will begin to clear. You will feel a sense of peace that you haven't felt in years. That peace comes from knowing that you are finally living in alignment with who you were created to be. That peace comes from knowing that you are no longer running from the truth. The voice of your soul is your greatest guide. It is your protector, your compass, and your source of wisdom. It will never lead you astray. It will never deceive you. It will always lead you to what is right, what is true, and what is good. But you must be willing to listen. You must be willing to trust it. Because the moment you stop ignoring that voice, the moment you start living in alignment with it, you will discover the life you were always meant to live. There comes a point in life when you must decide whose voice you will follow. The world will shout at you, pulling you in 1,000 directions, offering you temporary satisfaction that leaves you empty. But amidst the noise, there is a voice, your soul's voice, that quietly calls you to something deeper, something true. It does not compete with the chaos of life. It simply waits for you to listen. And the longer you ignore it, the greater the cost. You must understand that ignoring the voice of your soul is not a harmless choice. It is the beginning of a slow unraveling. It is the start of compromises that lead you away from your identity, your peace, and your purpose. Each time you silence that voice, you silence a part of yourself. You create a life that looks full on the outside but feels hollow on the inside. You move further and further from the truth of who you are until one day you no longer recognize yourself. But no matter how far you've strayed, no matter how many times you've ignored that voice, it is not too late. Your soul has not given up on you. The voice is still there, waiting to guide you back to the path you were meant to walk. It will not condemn you for your mistakes. It will not hold your past against you. It will simply invite you to come home to yourself, to return to the truth that has been within you all along. The world may promise you success, but only your soul can give you fulfillment. The world may offer you approval, but only your soul can give you peace. The world may distract you with noise, but only your soul can show you the way. You do not need more from the outside. You need to reconnect with the truth within you. That truth will protect you, it will guide you, and it will set you free. The choice is yours. You can continue to ignore the voice of your soul, but you cannot escape its consequences. Or you can choose to stop, to be still, and to listen. In that stillness, you will find the answers you've been searching for. You will rediscover your peace, your purpose, and your identity. And when you start living in alignment with the voice of your soul, you will no longer feel lost. You will no longer feel empty. You will know exactly who you are and where you are going. Do not trade your destiny for the noise of the world. Do not allow distractions to rob you of the life you were created to live. The voice of your soul is the voice of truth, and when you listen to it, it will transform everything. It will give you clarity in confusion, peace in chaos, and strength in uncertainty. But you must be willing to trust it. You must be willing to act on what it tells you. So make the decision today to stop running, to stop ignoring, and to start listening. Your soul is waiting for you. Your purpose is waiting for you. The life you were created to live is waiting for you. And when you embrace that truth, when you allow your soul's voice to guide you, you will not only find the answers you've been looking for, you will find yourself.